While you were at home relaxing, you received a phone alert from your bank. The message stated the bank would be closing forever in 2 days and advised that you should withdraw all your funds before then. The next morning, you rush to your bank to withdraw your hard-earned money, but the bank branch is empty, locked up, shut down, gone, and so is your money. This tragic story shares similarities with the predicament faced by shareholders of a preferred share dividend, stock symbol MMTLP. This stock ticker emerged from a 2021 reverse merger between Meta Materials and Torchlight Energy Resources. And more than a year later, investors' funds are being held hostage by the financial elite, all while regulatory agencies turn a blind eye to the corruption. Tens of thousands of shareholders could lose billions of dollars. The little-known preferred share dividend has the potential to unveil one of the largest corruption and securities fraud scandals in U.S. history. All this while regulatory organizations work together to look the other way. The stock began trading fraudulently, was abusively short-sold, nefariously halted, and appears to have a massive problem with counterfeit shares. This is not a tale of a meme stock or a company swindling its investors, nor is it about individuals seeking quick riches. Rather, this story sheds light on the actions of top-level regulators who have concealed and enabled market corruption. Despite their stated goal of protecting investors, these regulators have proven to be quite adept at doing the opposite. A group of 64,000 investors were presented with a promising chance to own a portion of a private oil and gas exploration firm, making for a solid investment. However, the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, intervened and declared it was not a viable option. This corruption could financially ruin short hedge funds and reveal fraud in the U.S. stock market. Even if you don't own MMTLP, your 401k and IRA may be at risk due to widespread market corruption. Let's look at the facts, not FINRA fiction. Fact: a stock that was never authorized for trading on the OTC market was suddenly traded. Is this legal? Plausible evidence has been discovered that identifies at least one market maker that acted dishonestly by submitting falsified documents to FINRA. This circumvented security rules and regulations, resulting in the approval to trade the preferred share dividends. It's important to note that one of these market makers has a very close relationship with FINRA. In fact, their CEO was a member of the FINRA Market Surveillance Advisory Group. Talk about having a seat at the power table. There are also indications that unsponsored ADRs for a U.S. company may have been used to start trading for MMTLP. This blatant fraud and these conflicts of interest raise serious concerns about fairness and transparency in the stock market. Fact: the stock was halted by FINRA 2 days before its scheduled end, freezing all investor funds. Due to the unexpected halt, investors were unable to sell their shares during the final 2 days of trading, resulting in a missed opportunity. Prior to this halt, the scheduled trading dates were undisputed. The last trading day for MMTLP was initially scheduled for December 12, 2022. As confirmed by the SEC, various S1s, brokers, the VP of the OTC market, and heck, even your own dog probably knew when MMTLP trading was supposed to end.
MMTLP is being deleted as a ticker after the trading day on the 12th, so it's deleted on the 13th, right? And so that means that you no longer are reporting a trade in MMTLP after that date right now. But what I can say though is MMTLP, as of the end of trading on the 12th, will no longer be on the OTC markets.
And that's the most important
Yes.
point to come across here. If you are holding these shares on the OTC markets, guys, again, end of trading on the 12th, it's coming off of the OTC.
FINRA was aware of the problem they were facing. Emails obtained through the Freedom of Information Act revealed that MMTLP flagged FINRA's fraud department. Senior executives from both FINRA and the SEC exchanged emails discussing the issue, including the senior VP of FINRA's Financial Crimes Detection Unit, the president of FINRA, and staff at the Securities and Exchange Commission.
Looks like this MMTLP matter has now hit my fraud team's radar screen. Seemingly a lot of other radar screens as well. We're looking at the two issuers from a fraud/manipulation angle, and in fact, blue sheeting both MMAT and MMTLP as we speak.
As a governing agency whose sole purpose is to make sure our financial markets are fair and transparent, it promptly announced the share imbalance and prepared to prosecute these white-collar criminals. Oh, but wait, that never happened. It seems self-regulatory agencies don't always do what they're designed to do. Instead, FINRA decided to keep retail MMTLP investors in the dark while protecting their Wall Street buddies by initiating a rare, unprecedented scheme called a U3 halt. This trading halt allowed an escape for short sellers at the expense of retail investors. Short sellers saved billions of dollars, while retail investors' funds remain held hostage. Wall Street's game, Main Street's pain.
Not having access to our funds has been very difficult on us. It's been hard, not only financially, but emotionally and eventually physically as well.
You may know it as naked shorts, a catchy phrase that disguises its deceitful nature. In reality, it involves dark pools and overseas manipulation, creating a cesspool of unregulated, illegal activity that includes controlling popular stocks' supply and demand. These bad actors create counterfeits out of thin air with no tangible asset backing. They borrow fake shares from their criminal friends at the brokerage houses. They create these fakes in the millions in an effort to suppress the pricing of a stock wanting to make a run. When brokers and market makers short a stock, they are expected to locate shares in most cases. However, when they are unable to locate the stocks, they don't stop. They know they can get away with creating counterfeits. There really is no deterrent. Think about it. The regulators seldom regulate. And when they do, they only ask the offender to pay a small, tiny fine. The fines FINRA imposes on the bad actors are laughable. The penalties imposed equate to only having to pay a penny on the dollar. Nor do repeat offenders receive any kind of tangible progressive discipline. No threat of jail time, no incremental repeat offense penalties, just the usual slap on the wrist. On Wall Street, the fox guards the henhouse. The guardian protects, colludes, and covers up for their devious friends. They don't protect investors, they protect their own. Fines are looked at as the cost of doing business, and it's wrong. It's easy for counterfeit shares to disappear unnoticed when a stock is traded over a long period of time. Bad actors have learned how to game the system. Over 1 trillion shares per quarter are traded offshore to foreign countries using dark pools that are not regulated by the U.S. These illegal tactics allow them to hide their short positions and manipulate stock prices for their own benefit. During the last 2 years, the use of dark pools have diabolically increased by up to 400%, causing ordinary investors to suffer losses. Every time a retail trade dives into the dark pool, a regular Joe's wallet takes a swim. These crooks have been learning how to manipulate the system for years. However, with regard to MMTLP, there was a distinct difference. There was an end date, a date when the security stops trading and goes private in a spin-off to NextBridge Hydrocarbons. This date was particularly significant for short sellers who would be required to exit, as well as long buyers that might desire to exit their position. Enter FINRA and the unusual halt that shut MMTLP trading down early. This event left behind millions of unresolved short positions, plus a major imbalance in the stock. a stock with 165.5 million shares issued now allegedly has 600 million or more counterfeit shares trapped in time. The prevalence of fake MMTLP shares in brokerage accounts is a real concern. Shareholders have faced stonewalling, slow walking, misleading, and price gouging from brokers when attempting to transfer shares or even ask questions. MMTLP shareholders are facing tax issues due to brokers like Fidelity categorizing MMTLP as earned income, even if no shares were sold or profits taken. In March 2023, FINRA released a webpage titled FAQ, MMTLP Corporate Action and Trading Halt, almost 100 days after the halt. However, their explanation for the halt, which cited settlement and coding issues, is questionable and open to scrutiny. The FAQs are rife with half-truths, propaganda, deception, cover-ups, and deflection. Prime examples of FINRA fiction. This prompted the MMTLP community to create a thorough, point-by-point response. The FINRA document failed to acknowledge the existence of naked shorts in MMTLP. The CEO of the OTC markets even commented on shorts remaining when the company went private.
The ongoing question is, how do short position holders resolve their liability for the NextBridge common stock if it is not easily transferable or tradable publicly? I have no control or input on that. It would be easier if NextBridge shares became publicly tradable.
Months later, in November 2023, FINRA tried again by releasing more frequently asked questions. This update primarily claims they don't even know what counterfeit shares are, despite the SEC's own website containing dozens of documents about it. What is FINRA's response to inquiries, requests for data, and legal challenges? It claims regulatory immunity. Nothing to see here. We are the big and powerful. We have immunity. Move on. Similarly, the SEC dodges questions, claims they regulate FINRA once a year, and says there simply isn't a problem. Stop the collusion. Stop the secretive cooperation between the regulatory agencies trying to protect these Wall Street VIPs. Today, there is a renewed hope and a promise of justice. After more than a year of advocating, progress is being made. Since the U3 halt, shareholders have held peaceful demonstrations at the SEC and visited Congress. They've also reached out to senators, congressional representatives, and governors. Shareholders are organized, educated, and quite honestly, not going away.
I'm just seeking justice, and I'm seeking the resolution that we deserve. There's a lot of people hurting, myself included, and we're not going away, and we're not going to stop fighting.
The campaigns aimed at raising awareness about MMTLP have been remarkably successful. So far, more than 53,000 letters and more than 250,000 emails have been sent by the community. Over 100,000 phone calls have been made by these concerned investors to their elected officials. The community has championed more than 200 in-person and 150 Zoom meetings with Congress. The community has also led the way through the court system. Challenges in state, federal, trial, and appellate court are ongoing. The hashtags FINRA fraud and mentions of MMTLP have repeatedly trended, with a combined total of over 6.5 billion impressions on X, formerly Twitter. The MMTLP community has also made significant strides in gaining attention from influencers and the media.
If there is a window that people thought was 2 days longer, somebody should be liable for that change.
Absolutely.
And that shouldn't be the investor.
And, when you have the members of, I think the VP of the OTC not knowing why the shares weren't traded, when you can't find out what shares exist, if any, there's no excuse for this.
During an oversight hearing in September, Senator Mike Crapo of Idaho questioned SEC Chair Gary Gensler. His responses left everyone more puzzled than informed, as Gensler skillfully clouds the situation with his vague replies.
have FINRA and the SEC analyzed MMTLP for any potential fraud or wrongdoing?
We seek to analyze fraud and wrongdoing wherever it might be in our capital markets, and certainly we're well aware of these matters, but I can't speak about specific possible investigations or even confirm or deny whether we have them.
During another September hearing, Congressman Ralph Norman from South Carolina asked Gensler about the MMTLP share count. Gary suggests it's public information. Gary knows it's not.
Do you know what the aggregate shares are, audited shares count of MMTLP is as of close of market on December 8th, 22?
I don't know. I know that it's a company that then exchanged into something called NextBridge, I believe.
Okay. Does SEC have this information on the audited shares?
It may be a matter of public record. I mean, it was a company that it did an exchange and became another company.
In December of 2023, a group of 74 bipartisan members of Congress signed an open letter to Gary Gensler and Robert W. Cook, the president of FINRA. The letter contains 16 questions regarding share count, the trading halt, and short selling in MMTLP. Since the U3 halt, shareholders have been requesting a certified aggregated audited share count to prove an oversold situation. This information is guarded by FINRA and the SEC. FOIA emails reveal that the share count and Blue Sheet data were generated in December 2022. There's no excuse not to release the data to a judge or in a redacted format. Releasing the share count of each broker could swiftly resolve any allegations of counterfeit shares. But Gensler knows he can't possibly let this information out without alleged criminal exposure, leading to a crisis for short hedge funds and the top 1%. If there is a significant number of shares beyond the expected amount, their secret plan will be exposed, and a tiny stock named MMTLP will bring down the wealthy elite. It's unfair that companies like GTS, Goldman Sachs, Citadel, and Canaccord could seemingly be allowed to manipulate the stock market without consequence, while others suffer. Let's resolve MMTLP for the tens of thousands of investors who have been unjustly harmed. Let's restore confidence in the U.S. stock market. Stop the collusion. Release the data from a certified aggregated audited share count. Show us the facts and data. Over 1 year, and investors are still without access to their funds or have any path to a resolution. Contact your representatives and ask them to settle the trades for MMTLP. Help us reveal the truth that fills the wallets of the super wealthy while leaving the average investor behind. Join our fight for the ticker that was never supposed to trade, as it makes history exposing fraud in the U.S. stock market. Settle the trades in MMTLP, the only fair, legal, and righteous choice.